We're about news, commentary, conversations, truth, liberty, and God. We stand for American values and our flag. We believe that the Constitution is a document that fortifies rights already given to us by our Creator. We will not apologize for our love of God and country, ever. We are Right America Media.
Good morning, good afternoon, my brothers and sisters out there. It's Drew Allen, your Millennial Minister of Truth. I'm finally back in the pilot seat. It's been a couple weeks, but I'm reporting to you live from Napa Valley. You may have seen there's a giant fire that is near Calistoga. Anyway, it's in the Napa Valley, and I'm about 6 miles from there. All good, safe so far. I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute because actually I want to get into it because there's the climate hoaxers out there at the New York Times and elsewhere have an interesting take on this fire, which of course is divorced from reality, which is most of the left's positions, which is going to be a lesson for us to take away today. But look, the last couple of weeks, I'm really excited to be here with you. I thank you for your patience. No, I didn't disappear. No, nothing's wrong. I may have told some of you in the last, couple of weeks, I signed a pretty aggressive contract with my book publisher to deliver a book on the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that takes into account everything we know now. And this will be the definitive book on the subject. I can't tell you the number of bombshells that I have uncovered. And so I have been working diligently at that. And, of course, if it's your first time tuning in, my day job, if you will, is I'm a publicist. I've been Tulsi Gabbard's publicist. I've been a publicist for Charlie Kirk, a lot of big people out there. So I just say that because that job keeps me very busy. And so because of my own penchant for pain, to sign this aggressive, basically 30-day contract to deliver a book. Any of you written a book in 30 days, especially on something like Trump-Russia collusion, where the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton will probably want you dead if you publish it? Well, that's what I did. So that's where I've been. I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm here. Thank you for being with me today. All right. So firstly, I just want to point out something. Yeah, I'm about 6 miles from the fire in Napa Valley. It's called the Picket Fire. If you looked at the news at all, you probably saw something about it. It's grown to over 2,000 acres here. And, I got a little bit of PTSD, I'll be honest, because I was here in 2020 when an even worse fire was here. And actually, we did have to evacuate, and many homes, people I know, they lost their homes. Their homes were burned in those fires. This happened yesterday afternoon, and it spread pretty quickly. Now, I want to read you the New York Times take on this, which you can apply to anybody on the left. And the point is, of course, that the left, they're such rabid ideologues that they don't live in reality. They do not allow, facts to get in the way of their narrative. So I want to pull this up for you. This is the New York Times coverage of this fire. California is facing one of its worst wildfire seasons this year, fueled by some of the hottest summer temperatures on record and compounded by cuts to federal agencies that assist with firefighting. So it's Trump's fault that this fire is happening, right? Naturally. And it's climate change, because this is, what did they say? Fueled by some of the hottest summer temperatures on record. Now, I live here full time. And what's amazing about this moron, this propagandist, is that it is a matter of fact that this summer in Northern California, in Napa Valley, in San Francisco, is one of the coolest summers we have had in decades. So this is the New York Times, right? That was reported yesterday. Here's another New York Times article from August 1st, just a few weeks ago. Look at this headline. Why is California so chilly this summer? It's been so cold in San Francisco, painters on the Golden Gate Bridge had to break out the heaters. But this numbnuts over here that wrote this other article, Amy Graff, Francesca Regalado, wildfire forces evacuations in Napa County, California. And it's Trump's fault, and it's because we've had record hot temperatures. Except, any journalist could use ChatGPT, even as biased as it seems to be a lot of times. You could go online and do a simple search and understand that this isn't the hottest summer in record. Let me read this some of the pull quotes from this New York Times article from just a few weeks ago. Why is California so chilly this summer? Get this. San Francisco is seeing the coldest start to a summer in over 2 decades, and nobody has felt the chill more than the people tasked with painting the Golden Gate Bridge. Here we go. Some more. Just an hour south of the city, San Jose saw its 10th coolest start to summer, with records going back more than 100 years. The average high was 76.9 compared to the normal 81.2. In July, the average afternoon high in Napa, that's where I am, that's where the fire is, the epicenter of California's wine industry, was 5 degrees below normal. The story was the same in Sacramento, which saw only 1 day above 100 last month. For someone under the age of 30, here's the kicker. They always got to put something in, because when the facts prove that they're morons and liars and hoaxsters, they have to find a way to try and keep that hoax alive. So, of course, Amy Graff adds, for someone under the age of 30, this might be the coldest start to summer in his or her lifetime. And yet, it would have been more typical of a summer a century ago, said Daniel Swain, a climate scientist at the University of California, Los Angeles. So anyway, that's just the incredible links and shamelessness, honestly. I mean, you've got the New York Times that 2 weeks ago was writing an article about how this was like the coolest summer ever in Napa Valley, in San Francisco, in California. And then now, just because there's a wildfire, you've got some moron named Francesca Regalado writing that this is the hottest summer ever. Like I said, I live here, and this is the same New York Times publishing both of these things. But they don't care, right? I mean, they're just pushing the agenda. But I actually, living out here, obviously, I know a lot of people who own vineyards, work in the vineyards, work in the tasting rooms, wine families, and so on and so forth. And even a few weeks ago, I was talking to some of them, and they're very concerned about the grapes right now. Not because of the fire, I'm saying preceding this fire. They're very worried about the crop, right? I mean, everyone, and I get it. Grapes are like sexy farming because you drink wine, but it's still farming. It's agriculture, even if it's boozy. But my friends in the industry that own these wineries, right? They make their livelihood depends upon selling wine and selling good wine and having a quality product. And they said, this is one of the toughest seasons they've had because it's been so cool. Because the heat, high temperatures are what makes the grapes grow. And secondarily, when it's cool and you have all this moisture, you can get mold and stuff on the grapes. And so the hot temperature in the day will dry up those grapes and prevent that mold from, seizing hold of the crop. And because it hasn't been hot, because look, Napa Valley, one of the things that makes Napa Valley is the remarkable temperature shifts. So you can wake up in the morning and it could be sub 50 degrees. In the wintertime, it can be freezing, literally, like in the, 32 or below, that's freezing. And then you can have a shift in temperature. And by midday, late afternoon, it could be, 30, 40 degrees hotter or more. And so anyway, we haven't had that hot temperature. And so it's actually been a problem for the grapes. And yet this journalist at the New York Times who's writing about the picket fire going on down the road from me right now, it's because it's been so hot in the Napa Valley. So hot, we've never had hotness like today. It's just astounding. I mean, how these people have any self-respect? None whatsoever. Of course they don't. All right, what should we get into? I do want to update you on some bombshells that I've discovered about Trump-Russia delusion. What do you think about that for a book title? Trump, Russia, Delusion. I got to come up with a subtitle too, but Trump, Russia, Delusion. You like that? Is that good? Let me know. All right, I want to get into the redistricting that's happened. And I want to tie this into a broader theme that, one, Gavin Newsom may be the most annoying, irritating politician ever. Ever. I mean, more annoying than even Kamala Harris, if that's even possible. Such a phony, such a fraud, such pretend machismo. And obviously he's desperate to be president. I mean, most people who want to be president are desperate to become president. But Gavin Newsom is actually, don't fall for it. You know, Gavin Newsom is trying to emulate Trump in many ways. He's doing a poor job because Trump is Trump. There's no one like Trump. There's one Trump. There's never going to be another Trump. And Trump doesn't force anything. He's not putting on a show. I mean, when he puts on a show, that's who Trump is. So there's no, there's authenticity to Donald Trump. You know, all these Democrats, the problem is that they don't know who they are. They're empty vessels for, you know, the Marxist agenda. And so, you know, they go on a black radio show with Charlemagne the God, and they say, hey, black people, my name's Hillary Clinton. I'm running for president, and I like hot sauce. I like hot sauce like you black people, right? You guys like hot sauce? That's what I heard. That's what my black friends, well, I don't have black friends, but Obama tells me that some black person that's friends with all his white friends in Martha's Vineyard loves hot sauce. So that's my point of reference. So yes, black people, I carry hot sauce in my purse. Ain't that funny? Ain't that cool? I'm just like you blacks. Hot sauce in the purse. That's Hillary Clinton, right? They all do this. They put on the affectation with the accent when they go in different groups. Trump never does that. Trump is always 100% Trump. And that's one of the reasons he's been so successful. It's a breath of fresh air. Well, so Newsom's out there. You know, he's hired this whole social media team. They've all got purple hair. They're in their 20s. They're all, gender fluid. And they think they're really smart. They probably went to UC Berkeley. Maybe they even went to Harvard. Who knows? One of these liberal institutions where the people there are actually dumber than the average population that doesn't go to college. But these are the people working for Gavin Newsom, these young people, weirdos. And they came up with the idea, obviously, if you've seen this, to emulate Donald Trump's, social media posts. All caps, very colorful, capture really his personality. You can hear Donald Trump saying it. They're hilarious. And they only work because we know Trump, and that's what he actually sounds like. And so Newsom is doing this as well. And it's been a humiliating attempt by Newsom. And everyone knows it. It's fallen flat. I mean, these blue-haired, pink-haired people, obviously, they don't actually have a sense of humor. They're disconnected from our world, which is where we're very good-looking and know how to talk to people, and we're normal. Our brains function properly. We're not, we don't have brain damage like they do. And so now a lot of people on the left are trying to write this off as, he's just no, he was not making fun of Trump. Believe me, he was not trying to make fun of Trump. Gavin Newsom wants to be the left's Trump. That's his objective right now. And there's a couple takeaways from this. One, it's ironic or funny. I don't know. Pick your descriptor. But, we're supposed to believe that, Donald Trump's the worst person ever. He's horrible. Nobody likes him, even though he won 2 elections, 3 actually. But, 2020, they stole it. But apart from that, they want us to believe on one hand, Trump's this horrible person. Nobody could like him. He's a chauvinist. He represents everything that's wrong with the country, which we know isn't true because we just shellacked him in the last election. And so Gavin Newsom is, literally trying to be the left's Trump. He sees that it works and he's trying to emulate that. I mean, it's just rich. I mean, this is irony-rich territory everywhere you look with the Democrats, folks. But anyway, I want to explain the redistricting maps because I think it's important that we discuss what happened in Texas, why that's not problematic, because we got to push back on the left because the Newsom and the California Democrats, and this is something where I feel like I have a little bit more expertise than maybe some other people that have shows out there just because, I live here. I live in California. I live in the Napa Valley, like I said. But I'll tell you about that in just a second. Are you and your partner struggling to conceive? If you took the COVID vaccine, there is cause for concern. You're not alone. A recent study led by Danish researcher Dr. Vibeke Manichi analyzed birth data from women aged 18 to 39 over a 2-year period starting in 2021. And the findings suggest a significant decrease in birth rates among vaccinated women, with data indicating a reduction in egg count by nearly 60%. Scary stuff. Since 2021, fertility rates have significantly declined in many regions around the world. The wellness company, which you've heard me talk about many times on this show, well, they've created the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, which is crafted with 100% natural ingredients, specifically designed to help your body clear harmful spike proteins. That's at the root of a lot of this. Spike proteins to help reduce inflammation and support overall health. So don't wait. Experience the only formula approved by Dr. McCullough, who is a top freedom-fighting doctor who risked it all. You can head to dailyclouthealth.com and use code DailyClout to get 10% off plus free shipping. So Spike Detox your body today. All right. Man, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. You know, my friends actually got me this mug. I didn't buy it, but, you know, does not play well with liberals. I think my friends know me well, although I play just fine with liberals, to be honest. You know, if you're just joining for first time, you don't know this about me, but I've spent my whole life around liberals. I've always been a conservative, but always around liberals. I worked in Hollywood. I worked in fashion for Marc Jacobs. I lived in Milan, Italy for 2 years. I speak Italian. You know, I lived in Italy again for a couple of years doing some other work. And I, you know, live in California. And so obviously I'm surrounded by liberals. So I play just fine with them, except the ones that want to cut off Johnny's pee-pee at 2 years old. Those people I will rip your throat out. Protect the children. Isn't it amazing how just deranged the left has become in this country? I mean, there's not anything that we can possibly agree with. Like, there's no middle ground. Democrats always talk about, oh, well, that's middle ground. Yeah, because middle ground is like ceding all the ground to the left. What's the middle ground when you want a 2-year-old to start taking puberty blockers? What's the middle ground on that? Oh, just let the parent decide. No, that's abusing children. It's worse than abuse. It's just unbelievable. There's no middle ground with you people. You're sickos. All right, so let's talk about this Republican map, right? So the Republicans are gerrymandering, which is a legal framework to redraw districts that, in theory, are supposed to reflect the census, right? So, I mean, you know, you're going to redraw districts based on the political changes that happen in a state. So it's rooted in a good place. And obviously, it's accepted. Everyone knows that people in power, you know, when you own the governor's mansion and you have the state legislature, you know, you're able to manipulate those maps to benefit the party that's in power. Everyone knows that is what takes place, and everyone does it. But Republicans in Texas, so they redrew this political map, and it's based on the results of the 2020 census. And they've said this is just about keeping up with how the state is changing. Texas, despite the left's efforts, which is actually really encouraging, it's actually been trending more conservative, especially, and this is actually the root of it, especially among Hispanic voters, people on those kind of border towns that have been here and don't want illegals here. They don't want crime. So they have become more conservative. And so the Republicans argue that this new map is going to better reflect that reality today, which is true. Now, Democrats hate this Republican map in Texas. One, they hate that the Republicans finally found their balls. But the Democrats hated it. I mean, in Texas, in the state legislature. So, you know, they played a little game. They acted like the children that they are. And instead of staying and debating, you know, more than 50 of them walked out of the legislature to block the process. They fled the state. And it wasn't some brave stand. It was a stunt, political stunt to show to shut down democracy. And this is what Democrats always do, right? They're such gaslighters. When Democrats don't like the way things are going, when the democratic process that they claim to defend, to the death, when that democratic process doesn't work out in their favor, well, when they're losing, well, they're happy to shut down the democratic process. They're happy to become fascists and communists and Marxists and show their true colors. So anyway, in the end, the Republicans were able to push the map through anyway, and it's expected to give them several more seats in Congress. And this was politics, and Democrats play the same game in blue states, and they cry foul when Texas does it. Now, I want to give you the reality of this because, you look, I get it. Some people out there, they say, well, I don't really like gerrymandering because of X, Y, and Z, but it's just a political reality. And you either do it, and it's basically a level playing field if everyone does it, or you don't, and you give the Democrats who don't have any morals, any qualms about breaking norms, as we'll discuss with California and what they're doing in response. So I'm just a political realist, and seeing how dangerous the Democrat Party has become, I'm still moored by certain constitutional requirements and laws and standards. But in these gray areas or areas that we thought, oh, we're above that, I'm not there. If my objective is victory, that's it. So here's the reality. Texas maps still reflect roughly the vote. So I guess my point is, in a perfect world, when you redraw the district maps after a census in a state for representation, we're talking about House seats, right? So those are a portion based on the population of the state. So every state has 2 senators, right? So that's equal. But then the U.S. House, you get representation based on population. And remember, Democrats are already cheating because they include illegals in the census. Just keep that in the back of your mind because I'll make a point about that in a second. So, in a state where the population was roughly 50% Democrat, 50% Republican, in a perfect world, half of the House seats would be Democrat and half of the House seats in Congress would be Republican. That's how it should be. Well, in Texas, Republicans win about 55% of the statewide vote, and they hold about 64% of the congressional seats. So it's not a perfect balance, but it's far closer and far more fair, if you will, than what Democrats pull off in their strongholds. So let's look at California. This is California as it currently is. This is not even the new outrageous rule change that Gavin Newsom and Democrats are proposing to try and negate Texas exercising its lawful responsibility. So in California, Democrats only win about 61% of the statewide vote. But they have already, with their independent commission, carved up districts so they control 83% of the congressional seats. So these are the people, right? So you've got 60-ish% of the statewide vote that Democrats get in California, yet they have 83% of the representation. So Republicans are already underrepresented in Congress from the state of California because of the way things are now. And Newsom wants to complain and whine and talk about how, Texas are a bunch of fascists. Republicans are fascists because we have a map that basically reflects the reality of Texas. 55% of the statewide vote, 64% of the congressional seats. Meanwhile, California, Democrats have 61% of the vote and have 83% of the congressional seats. So Republicans are 40% of the voters and have, less than 20% representation in California already. 14% of the seats. Unbelievable. These aren't small differences, folks. These are massive distortions that silence millions of conservative voices. And yet the media and the left, what do? They look the other way. They defend it. So the bottom line is this: Democrats don't actually hate gerrymandering. They just hate it when they're not the ones doing it. And I wanted to see. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I conflated a couple of things. What I said about California is correct. 61% of the statewide vote, but they've carved up the district so they control 83% of the congressional seats. Illinois, another Democrat stronghold. Get this. That's where Republicans make up close to 40% of voters. But Democrats have rigged the lines in Illinois so the GOP gets 14% of the seats. Insane. And you can look at any Democrat state and look at it that way. I mean, it's egregious what they're doing. But here's the thing, too. I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about what Newsom's doing. He's free to be a little tyrant. It's outrageous. I'll make the point and tell you exactly why it's outrageous in a minute. But all we need to do is demand and force a new census that does not permit illegals to be counted in the census. There are 1 million illegals almost, probably more. These are all underestimates. They always underestimate the number of illegals in the country. There are 1 million illegals in Los Angeles alone. The city of Los Angeles, one city in California, has 1 million illegals. So a modest estimate of the number of illegals in California is like 2.3, 2.5 million illegals. Now, look, if you add that up over the course of Democrat states, New York, other places, and you don't count these illegals in the census, you know, a very conservative estimate is that Democrats would lose between 5 and 10 seats. Just on the basis that you're not allowing them to count illegals, which is outrageous anyway, in the count. So, okay, Newsom, go F yourself. We're going to have a new census, and you're going to lose the 5 seats anyway from California that you think you're gaining by stealing them from Republicans with your ridiculous map. So that's the response. That's the response. Okay. We'll do the new census like we need to do anyway, and whatever. Because, you know, California lost 1 seat after the last census. They had a net loss of population of, it wasn't huge. It was, 200,000 people. But for California, that's a big deal because they're always gaining population because the weather here is amazing, except for the global warming the New York Times tells me about and the fire down the street from me. But apart from that, it's all good. Hey, would you, sometimes I think I'd rather have a hurricane than what I've got now with the fires. Less predictable. So let me explain the difference between what Texas is doing and what Republicans in Texas are doing and Democrats in California are doing, because it's a very important thing to understand because you're being gaslit, right? The Republicans are the bad guys here, and Newsom's just doing what he has to do to make it fair in the country. He's just protecting the people. He's protecting the Constitution. That's what Newsom's doing. So Newsom just scraps California's independent redistricting process because it might cost them power. And he shoved through a partisan map that's going to protect Democrats. Texas Republicans have admitted, of course, that they're drawing maps to help their side, but California here is gaslighting, pretending that they're being pure and fair by doing this, while they're actually rigging the system currently worse than anyone. So that's not reform, right? That's called hypocrisy. So Republicans in Texas, they're using rules that already exist. Every state can gerrymander. It's lawful. It exists. So Texas is drawing the lines in their favor, no doubt, but they're doing it with a existing legal framework. The legislature has always had the power to do this, to draw maps after the census. So Democrats might not like the outcome in Texas, but nothing about it broke the established rules of the game. Does that make sense? Now, California under Gavin Newsom is a totally different story. California had made this big show in the past of creating an independent redistricting commission, which, by the way, I told you what the representation was. It obviously wasn't independent. It was independent in name only. So they claim, oh, yeah, we took the politics out of the process. But now when the maps aren't giving Democrats the partisan advantage that they want in the midterms, because, look, the Democrats are looking in the midterms to stop Trump. They can't vote for a president because it's not a presidential election. All they can do to stop Trump is to regain the House, because they're probably not going to get the Senate, so they can just stall Trump's agenda. Now, Newsom and state Democrats here in California, they have scrapped the very system that they were bragging about. And now they're drawing their own maps. See, Texas played by the rules on the books. California tore up the rules mid-game in order to grab more power. Is that distinction clear to you? So Texas worked to use the system to its own advantage, and Newsom and California are tearing up the system altogether. Let me make an analogy for you. In Texas, Republicans are playing the redistricting game like a team that may, bend the rules or take advantage of the rules, but they're playing within the confines of the lines. They're not breaking the rules. It's like running down the clock in a football game. Or working the rep. You may not like it, but this is the game that everyone else is playing. California under Newsom is not doing that. California and Newsom, they're like a football team that walks onto the field in the fourth quarter, and there's 10 seconds left, and they're on a fourth down. They're not within field goal range, and so they just give themselves a 20-yard gain, or they move the goalpost closer to them so they can kick the field goal. That's what Newsom's doing. These are the rules now. So they're not bending the rules in California. They are rewriting the rule book to guarantee that they can't lose. That's what's going on here. So anyway, let's get into Gavin Newsom's ridiculous machismo because, he is a handsome guy. He's a pretty handsome guy. But I'll get into it in a minute. So I want to stop for a minute and make a plug for Athena Clark, and I'll tell you who she is. New York obviously is like going full-blown communist. It was already bad. Now it could go worse. Mamdani, the rich kid whose family came from Kenya or wherever they were, but they're Muslims. He wants to, he's running as a communist effectively. If you have a brain, that's what's going on, and he will destroy New York. So Athena Clark is running for city council in District 46, and this is a critical race. Athena Clark is not a career politician. She's everything that Mamdani is not, and these others are not. She's a neighbor. She's a school teacher, as a matter of fact. She's a fearless advocate for her community. And, she's standing up for common sense stuff in New York. And frankly, it's not particular. She's running as a Republican. She's in New York. It's not a purist point of view, even that she's running on. She happens to be black, by the way. If you care about that kind of thing. But, she's standing up for safer streets. She's standing up for transparent government, real accountability, values that don't just matter in Brooklyn, which is where her district it would be, and it is, but for the future of the city of New York. And she's got a unique opportunity right now. And I hope that you'll support her. You can give money to her campaign. It's an easy thing to do. And look, $5, $10, $2, this stuff matters and makes a difference. And the Democrats are more inclined to be activists, and they will give that money. We seem by virtue of our title to be a little bit more conservative, but we need to make these types of contributions too. But every dollar you donate can be matched 8-1 by the city's public matching funds program if you live in District 46. So obviously this depends on you being in that district, right? So your $25 donation, if you live in her district, could instantly become $225 to power her campaign. But only if you act, now. This is coming up quick. So, but even if you don't live in the NYC, every dollar counts. You can donate to the campaign. You might not get the match, but whatever. And Athena Clark, she's already hit the key donor threshold to unlock these matching funds. So she is a serious contender. But to win, she does need all of us to stand with her. So I just want to let you know, you can go to contribute.nycvotes.org/campaigns/Athena Clark. I'll put a link in the description later. Give what you can. because we need to send, we need to let these people know that they're supported around the country, especially in a place like New York. It's so depressing, the people you're around. But, NYC it's an important city, makes me sad what's happening there. I lived there for a year after college. And I haven't been back in a number of years, to be honest. I don't really want to go back given what I read about New York, to be honest. I would love it to get back to its glory days. I mean, it's a emblematic city in America. But anyway, so think about that. Athena Clark, contribute.nycvotes.org. You could probably go there and find Athena Clark. So, Newsom, first off, should I do this? Should I play? Because I'm sure Newsom would love this. I think we should all do this. Newsom, when he was the mayor of San Francisco, slept with the wife of his best friend. That's the kind of guy Newsom is. All this criticism. Who is Newsom to criticize Trump on anything related to sexual behavior? This guy's partner, Gavin Newsom, also slept with Harvey Weinstein. So, this is a family that really likes to swing around. This is a family that doesn't take their commitment to a marriage or a partnership seriously, which explains why Gavin Newsom doesn't take a commitment to the Constitution or anything else, because Gavin Newsom only cares about himself. He doesn't have morals. He doesn't have values, but he grandstands and lectures the American people about how wonderful he is. Here's Gavin Newsom. This is great. 1 minute. Let's watch the whole thing. Gavin, what have you done?
Thank you all for coming here on short notice. Want to make it clear that everything you've heard and read is true. And I am deeply sorry about that. I've hurt someone I care deeply about, Alex Turk, his friends and family. And that is something that I have to live with and something that I am deeply sorry for. I am also sorry that I've let the people of San Francisco down. They expect a lot of their mayor, and my personal lapse of judgment aside, I am committed to restoring their trust and confidence, and will work very hard in the upcoming months to make sure that the business of running the city is framed appropriately. I also want to extend a personal apology to everyone in our administration, to my staff that I just met with, to my friends and my family members. I am deeply sorry.
So sincere, Gavin. So sincere. So anyway, he was banging the wife of his best friend. I mean, it's bad enough to have an affair. It says something else about you, though, when it's like your best friend's wife. Like, don't you have any bro code? Does that exist at all for you, Gavin? No. So that's Gavin Newsom. That's who he is. So every time he wants to lecture the American people about morality, I think he should be reminded that he cheated on his own partner, I imagine. But he cheated. He home wrecked his best friend. Gavin Newsom, he just makes your skin crawl. I don't know if you all feel this way. It's so forced. He's obviously so angry and insecure. It's off-putting. The aggression. He can't control himself. I mean, look, he's pretty smooth, I guess, with some of the way he speaks and things like that. Obviously, if he's in an environment where he's challenged, which never happens, he blows up. But I want to play a clip. Here's Gavin Newsom. I mean, I guess, it's amazing because we have real machismo, which is Trump. I mean, Trump is the alpha apex predator. And it comes so natural and easily to him. He's at ease. He doesn't have to exert himself to show that he's in charge. He never has. And it's like a comforting thing. People like Gavin Newsom, you look at him compared to Trump and you really see what an emasculated little B-I-T, finish the word, this guy is. And it makes him so dangerous. Well, listen to him here.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
Can you imagine if, would you enjoy listening to me, or would you believe that I had more credibility? I mean, I can go down the list of my credibility, the clients I've represented, in the Trump administration right now, what I've done in my life. But even with that experience, if I sat here like Trump, I said, we're going to punch these bitches in the face. I'm sorry some of you don't like the way I'm talking about this administration and what needs to be done, but I'm going to punch these bitches in the face. What kind of freak is this? This guy's running California into the ground, and this guy wants to be president. Let me just play this one more time.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire.
Well, I'm so tough. I'm so tough. This piece of garbage excrement, Gavin Newsom, he talks tough like this because he never puts himself in an adversarial environment. You notice Trump, he's still calm and collected when he walks into the lion's den. He goes in, a black church and a Democrat stronghold, and he addresses the people, and he sits there and he fields questions. That's an amazing thing to see. And he does it all the time, puts himself in those situations. And Gavin Newsom is out there trying to be the left's Donald Trump with his fake tough guy routine. He struts around like he's some political brawler. This guy's not a political brawler. This guy's one of the softest people on the planet. He's picking fights with conservative governors. He's picking fights with the president. He's throwing cheap shots at Florida, at Texas, you name it. But here's the difference. Trump took on the establishment and he paid the price for it, right? He went against the Republican Party. He's always been at odds. He was always an outsider. Newsom? This guy is shadow boxing. I don't know another way to say it. I mean, he's swinging at these imaginary opponents from the safety of California's one-party bubble where Democrats hold every lever of power. There's nothing heroic or brave about Gavin Newsom. There's no risk involved. There's no courage. It's just performance. And it's like watching this guy flex in front of the mirror. Ooh, I'm so strong. I think that if Gavin Newsom does get the nomination, I've been thinking about this, actually not that long, just this morning, actually. I think that J.D. Vance would actually be a good pairing with Gavin Newsom based on his debate performance we've seen and the way he carries himself. I mean, even Democrats were surprised when he debated Waltz. And, he just carried himself so well. And, I think that's what you kind of have to have if you're going to go against Gavin Newsom. You got to let him embarrass himself by showing how deranged he is. And J.D. Vance has that sort of self-control. He does. But anyway, all right, I want to play one more clip of Gavin Newsom here, and then I will make the pain stop. I'm not trying to torture you. It's just important that we understand who this monster is and make fun of him. This guy cannot handle ridicule. He cannot handle being made fun of. Like I said, he's the softest person in the world pretending to be, Genghis Khan. Well, he is like Genghis Khan in the sense that he probably goes out and just bangs whatever chick he sees, as we know from that last apology. So he's got that in common with Genghis Khan. He just bangs women whenever he wants. But apart from that, he is no Genghis Khan. He's not conquering anything. Here's Gavin Newsom, though, gaslighting about what he's doing in California with redistricting.
We're responding what occurred in Texas. We're neutralizing what occurred, and we're giving the American people a fair chance. Because when all things are equal, we're all playing by the same set of rules, there's no question that the Republican Party will be the minority party in the House of Representatives next year.
If we're all playing by the same rules, there's no doubt that the Republicans will be the minority party. It's the exact opposite. The Republicans are playing by the rules. It's Gavin Newsom who wants to change the rules. Look at how the Democrats are reacting to the deportation of illegals across the country, to the securing of the border, to the proposal that is common sense and constitutional to end birthright citizenship, chain migration, a census, voter ID that only allows citizens to vote, the elimination of mail-in ballots, which obviously every country in the world acknowledges are, ground zero, ripe for fraud, the source and root of fraud. Even France banned mail-in ballots because of it. The Democrats can't win without cheating. That's what the takeaway is from all of this. This country's way more conservative than even we know right now, because Democrats cheat everywhere. And Gavin Newsom there wants to tell you, he's just leveling the playing field. The Republicans aren't. No, the Republicans are absolutely playing fair. They're not rewriting the law in the middle of the game, to benefit themselves. They're doing what they're allowed to do within the framework that exists. You're the one going out and abolishing the very, independent redistricting, whatever you want to call it, committee that you claim is like heralded as some, evidence that you're amazing in California and not a partisan hack. And now what? Your response is, okay, yeah, I'm a partisan hack now. But this is how he responds. I mean, the guy can't win the presidency. That's what I feel good about, though. I know that people get scared of him, but he's in California. It's like being in New York. Yeah, you can be a communist and win in New York, like AOC. You can't win a national election. That's what we learned. That's what we learned from the last election. It doesn't sell. The Democrats are dying right now. Dying. And they've done it to themselves, and I'm very happy about it. Very happy about it. All right. Are you ready to move easily and independently, without pain, without stiffness, holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see Gavin? I'm just kidding. Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plump, hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. It's found in your cartilage, in your bones, in your skin, your hair, your nails, your gut. Types 1 and 3 provide maximum benefits without the need for unnecessary fillers. Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula, no fillers, no additives, no artificial sweeteners. It's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. It's completely flavorless. And by the way, I do take this collagen. Native Path Collagen can be added to anything, to your coffee, to your smoothies, to your oatmeal, you name it. Its peptide formula makes it more bioavailable, which means it mixes perfectly without clumping. And the best part, they offer amazing bundle deals. They've got 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews. I wish I had that for my podcast. Can I get some 5-star reviews? And a 365-day no-risk guarantee. Native Path is a trusted choice. Plus, they offer an 800 number for any questions about usage, recipes, or ingredients, and you'll speak to a real person ready to help. What a relief. Visit getnativepath.com/dailyclout and start your transformation today. That's getnativepath.com/dailyclout. Man, I'm so excited to be here. I really missed being here the last couple of weeks. It's so fun. We did the first live Rumble show. I think the last show I did, and we got over 17,000 views on Rumble for the first live show that we ever did. I'm not Dan Bongino; those are Dan Bongino numbers. But for the first Rumble show, I was blown away, and it was very encouraging too. Obviously, the last thing you want to do is sit here and talk in a room to yourself. That's not why I do the show. I have obviously a million other things to do. But I do this because of I'm passionate about it and feedback. I like the comments on the screen. Yeah. Newsom is embarrassing. Yeah, he is. He is. Let him embarrass himself. I mean, this guy, lives in an alternate reality like they all do, where he thinks he's amazing and doing wonderful work, but the joke is on him. We don't have a ton of time left. I said I was going to talk about Ukraine and Zelensky. I don't think I will. I think I'll spend the last, just few minutes that we have remaining to talk about what I'm an expert in, which is this Trump-Russia collusion coup, Clinton coup. But just, with Ukraine, Zelensky came in. He had a meeting with world leaders. He put on some version of a suit. So, that's pretty much the only positive development of that meeting, to be honest. I mean, it was a little bit more cordial than usual. At least Zelensky showed a willingness to do what he's told. This is the thing, think about this. Zelensky is running Ukraine. He's not. We're running Ukraine like we always have. The irony of the whole situation is, everyone's saying, Russia just wants Ukraine to be a vassal state, of Russia. Well, Ukraine is a vassal state of the United States. I mean, it's our money there. It's our weapons there. It's our corruption there. So, Ukraine is not an independent country. They never have been. All this is about who's going to get Ukraine, the Russians, or are we going to keep it in the West? It's so silly, but I don't want to get into it all. But anyway, Trump's trying to set up a meeting with Zelensky, and the Russians really do have leverage in this, unless we're willing to go to war with Russia, which I'm not willing to do. And we shouldn't be willing to do, and it's not going to happen. So Russia has the leverage here. Their close proximity, obviously, to Ukraine. They invaded. They hold the cards. So Zelensky and the West, including previous leadership in the U.S., seem to have a hard line with Russia. We're not going to concede to any of your demands, even though you have this stronger military and you could take all of Ukraine if you wanted to. No, we're going to. So it's just, this is the problem with Russia. It's just reality. We have most of our country, not most, but, a good, at least more than a third of it, because we beat Mexico in a war. That's how it works. We won. Sorry. Well, it's the same thing today. Russia took advantage of a weak administration in the past. It's horrific that people are dead. I want it to stop. And that should be the objective. And it's going to require concessions by Ukraine. Now, look, the revelations with Trump-Russia collusion, just to kind of close out. There's been some more bombshells. Just the News has reported that, FBI Director Comey leaked classified, or gave the green light to leak classified intel to the New York Times, which obviously is a big no-no, but then he wasn't prosecuted. I mean, the whole problem with this is we know what crimes were committed and who committed many of them. But the FBI, the DOJ didn't prosecute its own, even under the last Trump administration. So that's the problem. And the Durham investigation and the Inspector General investigation by Horowitz before that, both of those investigations, Durham was a little bit better than Horowitz, but both classified, kept out of the public view, the annex, the information that the U.S. government and the FBI was intercepting Russian intel intended for the criminal. That basically, this is the irony. The most accurate information we have about what took place in 2016 and afterwards came from the Russians, because the Russians didn't have any incentive to lie. They were getting intel because they were spying to give it back to Putin and the Kremlin to update him on what was happening in the American political process. Do you understand how ironic that is? Our most accurate source of information about all of this is actually from the Russians. And Durham and Horowitz buried this. They didn't allow us to see it because it showed that Obama was involved, that he pressured the Attorney General Lynch to shut down the investigation into Hillary Clinton. So this went all the way up to Obama. This isn't just a Clinton scandal. It's an Obama scandal. None of this could have been possible without Obama's approval. It shows that the Attorney General was, through back channels, giving updates on the investigation to Hillary Clinton. And then you had the famous tarmac meeting, right? Attorney General Loretta Lynch just happens to show up at the Phoenix tarmac when Bill Clinton is there. And Bill Clinton boards her jet, Justice Department jet for 30 minutes. And they say, oh, we just talked about, the kids, the grandkids, and golf. And then a few days later, she was exonerated. It's just amazing. This is what's amazing. You should go and read the Durham annex, declassified annex. Because contrary to what the left is saying, it's accurate information. And so the FBI, this is the big takeaway too that I talked about last week. This is the big thing. The FBI used uncorroborated raw intelligence as a justification to spy on the Trump campaign and open Crossfire Hurricane, the counterintelligence investigation into Trump during an election year. But they said the Russian intel that they had intercepted, which quoted email addresses because they'd hacked email accounts, this raw intelligence they dismissed, as uncredible and used as an excuse not to investigate Loretta Lynch's role in undermining the DOJ by feeding information to the Hillary Clinton campaign. And also they used it as a justification not to investigate Hillary Clinton's plan. And the thing is, they were getting these memos from the Russians. It was all, you can corroborate it yourself, actually, because of events that happened and the emails that you can read. So the top brass at the FBI just couldn't corroborate it. But you and I can, the layperson. That's what's so outrageous about this. But anyway, all right, that's all we have time for today. Thank you for being with me. I'm going to try and get back on a schedule here and be with you next week. I really value you. I value your time. There's a million shows you can listen to out there. All of you have finite time, as do I. And I just want to say to you, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, it is a honor. It's a privilege. And I recognize, and I want you to know that I'm grateful that you would choose to spend your valuable time with me. All right. God bless you all. This is Drew Allen, the Millennial Minister of Truth. Until next time.
We're about news, commentary, conversations, truth, liberty, and God. We stand for American values and our flag. We believe that the Constitution is a document that fortifies rights already given to us by our Creator. We will not apologize for our love of God and country, ever. We are Right America Media.